Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial for short, and it's They Made What into a Movie. Yes, it's movie time, and we're in the animated world to do a sequel, a follow-up to another episode we've done previously. It's Fatal Fury 2, The New Battle, a 1993 anime TV special. So technically, a bit of an argument about being a movie, so to speak, but it's a feature film length at around 75 minutes.
Yep.
And obviously based on the Neo Geo SNK video game series Fatal Fury, Fatal Fury 2 specifically. It is, of course, a sequel to the 1992 film Fatal Fury Legend of the Hungry Wolf, which we have, of course, reviewed, and that was all right. That wasn't bad. We've done a few of the sort of animated fighting shows, and we said at the time, I think it's bad repeating. Fatal Fury is one of those that I'm not that familiar with from a game
Yeah.
perspective. Compared to say Street Fighter or even Battle Arena Toshinden, I knew more about that than I did Fatal Fury. But I enjoyed Legend of the Hungry Wolf. It was done well, and it was a short enough, and it was to the point. It was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah. Definitely enjoyed it. Said. The fact that I can actually remember it stands in my memory. So yeah.
Yeah, there was only one important plot point that I had forgotten, but then this film brings that back in a scene that I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened. I forgot the game first film did that, which is actually killing off a character.
Mhm.
But anyway, the special was directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi, and once again features character designs by Massimo Obari. It aired on Fuji TV July 31st, 1993, all those years ago. Looks pretty good, considering the version I watched wasn't like a HD version. I thought the animation held up well.
Yeah. So I was very impressed with it. Yeah.
We should know an English adaptation was produced by Viz Communications and also released on home video in 1994 because that is what I watched. I watched one with English voices, and some of them were fucking awful. Some of them were really bad. Like
Yeah.
really, I don't remember being that bad in the first one. What happened here?
Yeah, that's my only mate. Well, I've got like one or two criticisms, but the voice acting is quite, especially at the start it was quite bad, but towards like halfway, I got used to it, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, yeah. So, but at the start, I was like, what the hell? It sounds terrible.
yeah, I agree about getting used to it because particularly the villain of this
Deep
film,
voice,
like
really.
yeah, you need to get used to. Once you're used to him, you can kind of deal with him. But at first, I was like, "Oh no, this is not good." But like, no, you get used to him. You're right. And you're right. There are things that we're going to discuss. Oh my, there is something I really, when we get to, I actually, when it first happened, I went, wait, what just happened? And I had to then go back and was like, that did happen. And
I
then it
bet
just
it's
gets worse from there.
I
Oh,
bet it's the thing that I think it is. Yeah.
save it. But voices. So Terry Bogard. I'm just going to give you the English voices here because I watched it with the English speakers. Mark Hildreth, Andrew Bogard, Peter Wiles, Joe Higashi, Jason Gray Stanford, and then apparently on the 2021 Blu-ray, George Peter redid that voice. I'm not entirely
Oh.
sure why.
Hmm.
Tony Sampson, Mai, Sarah Sawatsky, Jubai, French Tickner, which that name made me laugh. French Tickner. Like it almost is like a French tickler, but it's
Yeah.
Tickner as in Tickner, right?
He must got bullied at school, man.
Well, I almost, it must be a stage name, right? It must
It's gotta
be.
be, gotta be, yeah.
Wolfgang Krauser, Paul Dobson, Geese Howard, Ward Perry, and Kim Capwan David Kay. Okay, we begin in a very stately looking place where a large man sits down at an organ, and I was like, all right, and just starts
Mm.
playing. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I laughed immediately. It felt well jarring because, like, it's like a castle, and it just goes in this big. You know what an organ gives you what a rich gothic sound.
Yep.
I'm like, ain't this Fatal Fury? Did I put on Castlevania? What's going on? You know?
That was literally for the first minute because it goes on for about 3 or 4 minutes, and I was like, am I watching the wrong film? Because there's no talking, so I had to skip forward about 7 minutes to make sure there was talking, and then I went back. But I actually quite because of Castlevania, I actually quite liked it.
I'm gonna agree. I actually really love the sound of an organ,
Mm.
and I think it's a very cool intro because it also kind of it plays over a montage that kind of
Mm.
implies this man and his group are searching for something, and they
Mm.
find it. This is so we should say this man is Krauser, Wolfgang Krauser. a German sort of nobleman who will be our villain of the piece. But he's looking for his half brother Geese. And of course, Geese was the villain from the first film. And he, having been beaten by Terry, has isolated himself way in the mountains where he's recovering from his defeat. And he
Mm.
reveals to Krauser that, look, the guy that beat me was Terry. And Krauser's like, sweet, this guy beat you. He must be a warrior. I want to go fight him. And I was like, this is actually a good, this is a good intro, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it got us up to speed. It connected the dots between this film and the next, and gave us a villain that I immediately thought he's powerful. You know,
I'm going to tell you that I really, really like this film. I was really impressed with this film.
I liked it too. There are a couple of things that I just think are. I mean, it's hard because we always got to talk from a cultural difference.
Hmm.
I'm aware of certain aspects, particularly 90s Japanese animation and anime and stuff like that. I like and elements of that. I'm more used to it than I'm used to it, basically to a degree. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean the problem often was is that there'd be something like, ha ha, look how silly and funny this is. And then without even a moment's breath switch to something that's overly sexual or super violent, and that's where I often struggle. It's so jarring, and it's like in it. So I'm telling you now, folks, we're gonna get that in this. We're gonna have out of nowhere an outrageously sexual scene that
Hmm.
then leads to more and more later on. But at that point, and that comes out of nowhere, and I was so taken back by it that I was like, "The fuck am I watching?" Like
I
it
could not,
felt weird.
I could not believe it. But to be honest, as you said, I'm not surprised. It's Japanese manga in the '90s. So I'm not surprised.
Exactly that. It's exactly that. Well, no, tell a lie, right? I agree. I'm not surprised, but I am also surprised because nothing up to that point has suggested we were really going to get that. And even though, I mean, the first one had kind of like sexualization of the female characters,
Yeah.
it was not this, not what this does. Do you
I'm
remember
surprised.
that? I mean, do you remember the Sonic the Hedgehog 1993 film video one we did that had
Mhm.
like Tails grabbing the princess's boobs and stuff
Yep.
like that? Like, God damn it, 90s Japanese animators. Stop!
I'm,
What are you
uh,
doing?
I'm surprised like YouTube didn't put like a an age restriction thing on this.
It might have done. It might have. I didn't look. To be honest, I didn't look at it. It may have done. My
Neither did I.
account, the account I signed in on is an ad is that you know what I mean? Like it may do. It probably does.
Yeah.
I didn't look to be honest. But you know, it word of warning, folks. I guess. I mean, not that anybody who gives a shit about Fatal Fury in 2025. Nobody.
Mm.
But if you are planning to sit down with your youngster and watch Fatal Fury 2, the new battle, would you be right? If you do plan, be warned. There's some sexualization of a female character here.
Hmm.
Anyway, speaking of Terry, he's working at the docks in Southtown, and we see there's almost an accident, but Terry, and this is where I love this. He fights falling iron girders to save his colleague, and I was like, I'm in. We've had this big ass German dude playing an organ. Now
Hmm.
we've got Terry fighting iron girders. It felt silly. And I don't remember the first one being silly, but I was
Yeah.
like, I'm all on board. Because like at the end of it, he's like, oh, I hurt my ankle slightly. And I'm like, you're fucking kicking iron girders. He saves his mate though, so that was quite funny.
It's again, it's a typical '90s manga with silly things like that. You had it in like, things like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon,
Of course.
all those sort of things. Yeah, so I'm okay, but I thought it was stupid, funny. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Same, not complaining. But he then
Mm.
heads off and meets a young boy named Tony. Now, this was weird because this is where the story's not put well together. I thought the two knew each other from the start. He gives the boy a hot dog and stuff like that. While he's sitting in the docks, and we quickly establish the boy's a hothead, and he ends up fighting a bunch of kids who are making fun of Terry and the events from the first film, basically.
Mm.
And Tony ends up going fucking ape shit on one of the kids, violently ape shit. So
Yeah.
Terry intervenes and stops him and all that. And here we kind of find that like they don't know each other. That was weird, right?
Yeah, so yeah, again, I thought they knew each other too, and
Yeah,
obviously it proves they don't. And then I thought like maybe he thought it was a homeless kid and he's giving them some food, and I couldn't work out. So
I couldn't work it either. And you know, and it's a little bit annoying, but also I'm just like, man, this kid's got problems because he is
mm,
hamming on this bloody boy. And then things kind of calm down for a bit, but here comes a fighter named Kim Cap One, and this is where the bad voice acting comes in.
Mm,
You must be Terry. I am here. Oh God, it's bad.
yeah.
Um, and he wants to fight Terry, and it's all that honor shit. I'm honorable. We will fight and spar and whatever. But while fighting, we see that Terry aggravates his ankle injury. This is just for a specific thing that's going to come up in a moment. Why they keep showing it.
Mm,
Following the fight, Tony now realizes who Terry is and reveals that he's his biggest fan and that he wants to become Terry's disciple, but Terry refuses. I thought this was going to be the episode's plot point, was that Tony being rejected might become evil. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like Rocky Five. I thought this might be Rocky Five. You're laughing, but I thought it might be Rocky Five.
of all the references to use, Rocky Five. But
It's
yeah,
just the one that popped into my head at the time.
yeah,
Yeah. Um,
yeah, I can
Anyway,
say that.
as they walk through the town, Terry feels the powerful presence of Krauser and he's confronted. Krauser wants to fight and Terry agrees, but Terry easily loses. Kind of maybe because of the injury from his battle. Tony kind of steps in and sticks up for him, and Krauser hearing that, because basically Tony's like, mate, you're taking a piss. He just fought someone.
Yeah,
And Krauser's like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I want him to. Basically, I want him to be at his best. Take your time, recover. Come meet me in Germany at Stroyum Castle for a rematch. And basically, that's it. He wants to fight Terry at full strength. I get
yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
fine. During this, though, we get kind of flashbacks where we see Krauser and Geese basically had a violent childhood where they competed with each other under the watchful eye of. Well, later it'll reveal that it's their father, but you quickly establish it is the quote Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast, a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Two brothers pitted against each other by that mean, aggressive, and violent father.
It's getting real now. Sort
I
of.
didn't need it. I didn't need it though. I don't need
Mm.
no backstory about Geese and fucking Krauser and a justification for their behavior. I don't need it.
They're the bad guy. That's all we need to know.
Yeah. We also said that Geese in the modern times is being informed of Krauser defeating Terry, something he can use seemingly. Anyway, so Terry now wakes up in Tony's home and learns that he was taken care of by Tony's mother, Elsa, who basically, I was well worried when she stepped into the. I was like, no, this is
Yeah.
gonna be yeah, but no, she's like, mate, can you leave my kid alone? I don't want him getting into a bad crowd. Just leave. And Terry's all like, it's Damon. Do you know what it was? He's sitting there ripped as fuck. He is ripped. And she drops to her knees in front of him, and I'm like,
Fine now.
no, don't do it, Japanese. I bet there's some Japanese animator working on this who was so. His pen was
So tempted to
hovering.
do it.
Pen was hovering. Would
Yep.
surprise me if they did draw it and it just got cut because of
Yeah.
time. Anyway, basically, Terry's like, yeah, no worries. Look, I'm going to leave anyway. Uh, Later, Tony notices Terry at the train station and asks him to stay, but Terry refuses and basically says, look, don't follow me. But we see Tony does that anyway. He gets on the train sneaking behind him.
Mm.
Although it doesn't take Terry long to find. When they arrive, Terry finds him immediately. So it wasn't even that much of a thing. And in what is the quickest descent into darkness I've ever seen in any film or show, Terry has now fallen into a depression state and apparently developed a drinking problem. How long was the train journey? What
Yeah.
happened?
I said I, I can only think that this was something that was long coming. You know, he's obviously tired of the fighting. He's depressed. He no
No,
no.
no, no, no,
I'm
bullshit.
trying to complete this.
The last scene we had was him sitting in the bed with Tony's mother being all, oh yeah, I'm really sorry about that, and I'm gonna leave and all that, and that implies he's leaving to go train and be better and go after Krauser. How does that equate? So I can understand him being a bit down because he lost. How
Mm,
does that become a fucking alcohol? How does he become an alcoholic? Because we then get a montage of basically what I describe as him turning into a bum, getting robbed and getting beat up. All while
yeah.
Tony tries to encourage him to fight. And I'm like, this is the maddest descent I've ever seen. It's just like he just, it's what happened? What happened on that train? Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in Japan. All right, folks, let's do it. My Shiranyu visits the dojo where Jubi, an elderly master, who we're supposed to, I guess, liking this, but I'm going to give you one massive reason not to. And Andy is apparently here training. She's really excited to see Andy, but you know who else is excited? Dubai, in the shocking moment that we keep referencing, the first of many, just grabs her boobs, wanting to feel how fucking firm they are. And you
Yeah,
see it. It's animated as such. And I was like, the fuck? And right, so she knocks someone's ass, right? Yay. Except he also seems to enjoy that. And I'm like, what is this writing? And at this
yeah,
point in time, I did not even know this character was important. I thought this character was like some bum gardener who might be a bit crazy.
yeah.
And that was the joke. But no, this is Andy's master who in a
He's a
while
master.
will be fucking giving him advice and being polite to her.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was definitely shocking. I could not believe I mean. I'm not, as I said before, I'm not surprised, but I was shocked when it happened but
I'm gonna call it as it is. This is one of the most sexist portrayals I've seen of a female character
Mm,
in any of these animated ones. Because, folks, we are not overstating this. Every outfit she wears now is designed to show her underwear or her
yeah,
boobs in some way or another. She's the only one who appears to have nipples proper nipples, in that they push through her clothing,
hmm,
and she's the only one we see in the bath. Even when she comes out of the
yeah,
bath, she's dressed in a very sexualized outfit. And I've written it as well when we get to it. She's got dead or alive boobs. And by that I mean, if you know the games, Dead or Alive's famous thing was it made the ladies' boobs bounce. Never made the men's packages bounce up and down, but made
yeah,
the boobs bounce. Her boobs are all over the fucking place in this. Honestly, they should be embarrassed, because here's the thing: it's not like the games didn't sexualize women as well. Just contrast Chun Li to Ken
yeah,
or Ryu and stuff like that. I get that. I'm not saying either. Neither's good at
mm,
all. But honestly, this is a fucking. I found it a little. When you're like that and watching it, and you're kind of hoping no one's gonna fucking come up behind, like
yeah, yeah,
what I mean, like, because you don't be like, oh my god, no, it's a game, it's a game, it's a game.
yeah,
I'm not watching some weird manga porn shit. Like, God
yeah.
Almighty. I
There was a
hated it.
there was a found odd too. Is like obviously she's obviously a fighter too, and they made her character to be the hero. Look at you, you're so lovely. I'm gonna drape all over you because you're big and muscly and strong. You
It's
know.
worse than that. They've
Mm.
written her to be insane.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically,
yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
is in love with Andy and convinced
Yeah.
that they belong together. So she's jealous, she's stupid. It's designed to be funny, and it would be, except by making her. Because then what you get is, because what it is, it's almost childlike. She's a
Hmm.
childish teenager, loved up with a powerful Andy and convinced that he's mine. That kind of thing. We've seen that before.
Yeah,
But by them sexualizing her, which is it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking weirdos, man. Not okay with that at all. Right. Now we've got that out of the way, let's get on with this. So she heads up the mountain where she finds Andy training and angrily attacks him for not calling her upon arriving back in Japan, which he's very confused about. And here we see she seems to think that they are a couple to be
Yeah.
married, apparently.
Mm.
Because we haven't got time for any of this nonsense, Joe now arrives to inform Andy of Terry's defeat, having heard it on the great, I don't know, fucking on the whispering of the, who knows, he heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, and later that night, Jabai tells Andy and Joe of Krauser's origins as the Emperor of Darkness and the heir to the powerful Stroheim family, having scarred Geese and killed his own father as a teenager. Jabai warns him not to get involved, but Andy refuses and plans to leave with Joe. And Jabai insists that if they leave, they'll have to go through him. And this is where all that, wait, this character's supposed to be like a powerful, and I know the whole, oh, he's older and he's like, he's older and he's like lost a few marbles. All that does is make you go and fucking vote for reform or something like that. It doesn't fucking turn you into a sexual predator, right? Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, stop doing this, Japanese 90s animators. And we got to use those words as well. 90s animators. You're a specific bunch. You're all a
Yeah,
bunch of perverts. Um, yeah, because here I wrote it. So many scenes involving Maya are so sexualized. Her outfits, her movements, her behavior, and how other characters react to her as well. Now, I thought what made it extra weird, Andy reacts to her like she's a kid.
Mm.
Fucking weirdos.
Yeah, indeed.
We do continue to see how rough Krauser's childhood was, and it's the old thing. As Satello's he was turned into a monster by a monster. And you know what,
Yeah,
man? It's a powerful story. It exists for a reason. It's a cliche angle where evil begets evil, and you can be treated poorly in life. It might make you. Not everybody does. People who are abused and treated poorly as children don't always turn out to be monsters themselves. But there is a correlative link.
yeah,
Trauma carries through over time.
yeah. And this was obviously in '93, and it still happens now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea. It just needs to be in a film that can develop it better ways. Meanwhile, Terry gets into a fight with a group who try to rob him and is arrested for assault. Love this. How rare is to have a scene like this, right? How often do we actually see in these sort of things where people are street fighting and doing all that? Oh, he beats up a couple of people in the street, it gets the attention of the crowd, and someone calls the police. And I was
Yep.
like, that is really weird. Like,
Yep.
right? But it's also like, that's sensible. That's normal. I found it really unusual.
Yeah. It doesn't happen in these TV shows. Yeah.
Andy fights Jabai, defeating him and earning the right to leave with Joe. And on the way out, Jabai asks Mai to accompany them, like to kind of keep tabs on them. And that's where again I'm gonna go back to it. But like, this dude earlier was grabbing her boobs. I mean, why are we just brushing that off?
Yep.
Come on, man. At the airport, Joe and Andy separate, with the former going to find Terry and the latter going to Germany to find Krauser, with a loved up Mai coming along for the ride. She's convinced her on her honeymoon. Yes. So I
Yeah.
said would be funny if it
Yeah.
wasn't so weird. But Joe finds Terry and ends up posting his bail, but is ashamed to see him in his state, so leaves him to his own devices after punishing him and telling him of Andy's plan to fight Krauser. Tony's still hanging around though, believes in Terry though, remains determined to help Terry out of his drunken depression. Joe, you're the worst. What a friend you are, right? What a fucking friend. Your friend, your brother, the one you love is in crisis, and your response is, you make me sick, you're on your own. Wow! I was like, that does not paint Joe in a good light. Put it this
And
way,
then,
in a short while, when Joe gets his ass kicked, I'm like, karma, bitch.
yep. And then he gives him some nasty sucker punch in his fucking stomach too, man.
That as well, the
Oh
fucking,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Joe, you
you think
suck, bro.
it?
In Germany, Andy and Mai try to find Krauser, but learn that he's not around. He's on some like dignitary trip to accompany some queen. All right. However, they get the attention of a character called Lawrence Blood, who is Krauser's right-hand man. And he, in a very long-winded sequence, takes Mai captive while she is out shopping for a way to seduce Andy, looking at lingerie. This is honestly, folks, this exists.
Yep.
She does try to fight him, but she's defeated easily. So let's not pretend there's any match here at all. And this is where I wrote, all while her boobs bounce around like a dead or alive video game character.
Yep. I mean, I can accept her losing quite easily to this guy. He's obviously well trained, but I got the impression that she's a well trained fighter herself.
That's
So
where, right. So I think there's a way you could have rescued this character. Have all of this play out, and Lawrence basically go to fight her. It cut. Go to the Andy looking and searching for her, but instead of finding what will be her, because Andy basically will find her tied up in even more of a state of undress. Her clothes are now ripped open.
mhm,
Yeah. And that's another wait. Did he sexually assault her? What the
mhm,
fuck is with this film? But like he then saves her, beats Lawrence and all that. I'd have done it differently. He arrives to find Lawrence knocked out, my standing over him. She could still be dressed sexually and all that. And then he's like, oh, what happened? And she turns around and goes, I bought her something holding up the bag of lingerie. And I'd have been like, good, good. You showed her as not being a weak character. She could at least stand up for herself. Doesn't
yeah,
rescue the weird sexualization, but it would at least made it a bit more interesting. But no, no. She's just a damsel in distress, but a sexualized damsel in distress.
yeah, indeed.
Anyway, at the bar, Terry is challenged by a character called Axel Hawk. Uh, but basically, his Hawk's here like, oh, I'm going to fight the famous Terry. But Tony basically, Axel realizes, yeah, that's not Terry at all, not anymore. And Tony intervenes, so he ends up fighting Hawk's protege. And Tony gets his ass kicked, but he basically refuses to stay down. It's Rocky 3. Or Rocky 4, take your pick.
Yeah,
Or Rocky 2. In fact, all the fucking Rockies
yeah,
just
all
do
of
the
them.
same thing. I am Rockying up. But yeah, so he's badly hurt, keeps getting up. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Damon, he's not getting mad. He's getting tired.
Yeah,
Um, Seeing Tony's determination inspires Terry, who immediately regains his confidence, remembering how he was put down a lot as a kid, fights and defeats Hawk. Terry is back! No news is back. Alcoholism cured. And then we get a little brief bit where he gets back in tune with his fighting abilities under the watchful eye of Tony. And there we go. That's how quick, folks. If you want to cure, according to this film, if you want to cure being an alcoholic and a bum and all those things and depression as well, all you need to do is watch a kid get beat up. So I don't know, that's pretty good advice, right?
he found his mojo.
Basically, yes, he did. We're not. It's a silly show film. Uh, Obviously, it just makes it laugh. They wanted to do a really dark thing about depression and alcoholism, and then we're like, they had no commitment to it at all in any way, shape, or form. Because he's
Yeah,
just that's it now. It's not touched upon. Like, I don't even maybe even like have him like I know it sounds a bit too deep for it, but like have him like even more training. Maybe like have a look at a beer and be like, I'd really like that beer. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, Krauser, he's on a trip to accompany that queen. We see her in the back of a car doing a hand wave thing. I don't know. But he's like in a room and Joe arrives and Krauser's all like, hey, I know you and I'm really happy to see you. But yeah, Joe gets his ass whooped and rightfully so and is
this scene,
hospitalized.
this scene is makes me laugh, man, because all crowds cares about is the hotel room. So
Yeah.
like, don't mess the hotel room up. So,
The dialogue is fucking stupid, but it is. You know what? It is even with all our moaning about sexualization, it is fucking entertaining.
yeah,
I was watching this. I was entertained.
yeah. So I was like,
While resting with Tony, Terrier is now visited by the spirit or a vision of Lily. I don't know which it was. I'm going with fucking vision, right?
yeah, Vision, yeah,
And this is where I was like, oh yeah, they killed that character. She's basically like, oh, why can't you walk away from a fight? And that's why I was like, yeah, that makes sense to be more of a vision. It's Terry saying it to Terry. And he basically says that it's all he's got to live for. And she's kind of gets sad about it and says, well, if I had survived, we could have lived for each other. And then she
mm.
just disappears. And instead, his old master reappears, telling him he can win if he puts his mind to it. And then he's like, you know what? I can. Thank you, master. I'm like, well, fuck Lily, right? Like, fuck her advice, right? But I thought the scene was really dark. Like,
Mm.
there's nothing happening. It's not like she doesn't. Division is not like, oh, like she doesn't give him advice. It's basically just like, yeah, your life sucks. You live for the fight, and had I not been killed, we might have been happy together. Bye.
Do you know what they could have done? They could have played that in with his alcohol thing. That he's obviously seeing those visions because obviously he's drunk or whatever, and
Or,
then obviously
or that he's gone through kind of like a hard time because he's trying to
yeah,
get over it. Yeah, stuff
mhm.
like that could have worked. Um, I was more shocked that Lily wasn't like she didn't appear naked. Like she's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
not even that. Like she's wearing clothing. Like
clothing, yeah,
yeah, it's like oh okay, all right. En route to Germany, Terry learns of Joe's critical condition and goes to visit him first. And there, like, he reunites with his friend, learning from him and Mai that Andy is waiting for him at their special place. And Terry's like, "Oh, I'm off there." And Mai's like, What do you mean? Where? How do you know what
yeah.
it is?" And he's like, "Well, there's only one place." How awkward would it have been if he just ran, like, he just turned up at a bar. And he's like, "Oh, Andy's not here." Like, he gets it wrong completely. But
When
no,
he said
it's
about the
wrong.
when he said about him being in critical condition, but the list goes through. Oh, he's got a broken ribs. He's got broken this. He's got he's almost dead. It's like
Yep.
literally, you listen off about seven things like that's wrong with him.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say again, karma, bitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
So obviously he meets Andy by their father's grave. And there Andy says, right, look, well, one of us has got to fight Krauser. So we got to fight each other for the right to do this. And I did at least appreciate that Tony's like, what? Why are you fighting each other? And their response is both very jovial, like, it's what we do. And I'm like,
Yeah,
fair enough. The fight is a big one. Terry obviously emerges victorious thanks to a new technique, the power geyser. And not like as in the British geyser, all right, geyser, as in like the exploding flame, water
yeah.
turret, that thing. This is the dumbest moment of the film. So, first off, Andy, you don't have to fight Krauser. Terry is back now. Terry will pick up where he left off. Why did you? I know why you were gonna insert yourself into this, but you don't have to anymore. But
Mm.
also, fellas, considering how difficult a fight he's gonna be, maybe don't beat the shit out of each other before.
Maybe it's both. How about you both fight them together?
Oh, that
So
would be honourable, right? That would be
yeah,
honourable and
yeah,
all that nonsense. Anyway, cut to the next day, and Terry challenges Krauser at Stroheim Castle. After a fierce battle, and it's a pretty good fight. Weirdly, I think the Joe one might be a little better from an
yeah.
animated and sort of way, but it's pretty good. Terry does defeat Krauser, who haven't been defeated. Is basically like, love it, bro, love it. You're banging fire and all that. Boom, killing myself now. Honestly, I was like,
Out,
what the fuck?
out the
What the
window.
fuck has happened? And like the fact that he kind of dies and like has a flashback about like like getting one over on his father. I'm like,
Hmm.
killing yourself isn't winning any. It's
I
really
actually,
weird.
I actually thought that Terry might have saved him because he calls out his name, and I actually thought that maybe he's gonna like save him just before he hits the ground, and then say like,
It's
"Look, you ain't got to do this."
it's that dumb fucking it's that dumb what's it called honorable villain nonsense. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I didn't really care for it. It's fine, entertaining, but like it's like, oh, okay, fair enough. And then we see that Geese learns of Krauser's defeat and basically starts to make a plan to make his own return because he's the real villain.
that's what I wanted to ask. So, is there a number three?
There's another film, but I don't think it's connected to these. I
Ah,
don't
that's a
think it's
shame.
connected to these at all. I think this is it.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it actually is because they've been pretty good to watch.
Yeah,
Because then later, Terry reunites Tony with his mother. Why she doesn't slap him in the face, I do not know. But there you go. She probably sucks his dick shortly afterwards instead.
yeah,
Um, and Tony, before he departs, I'm going to be a great martial artist like Terry some days. And Terry's like, you go on, he ruffles his hair and then gives him his cap before
yeah.
leaving. And that is Fatal Fury 2, the new battle. What a watch, folks. If you want to be entertained by these sort of stuff, like a short fire animated 90s film that is filled with pervy scenes, um, all right action, fairly peppy pace, nonsensical attempts to be deep, bad voice acting, but entertains you all the way through, it's well worth watching. I'm a fan. I'm going to praise this one as being enjoyable.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen many bad movies and bad films and these ones will definitely be up there as ones which I really enjoyed. So,
Agreed. I'm just going to make sure. Let me just make sure there aren't any more. I'm sure there wasn't. I just want to. I'm sure there was no others. Fatal Fury 2. Where is it? Bear with me, folks. Fighters. It's bottom of the game.
yeah, it'd be a shame because obviously it left it open for a third one.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. I mean, there isn't really, yeah, I mean, because of the whole geese thing, but I think that's more tying into the games than anything else, kind of thing. No, that's upcoming animated. Nope, doesn't go under that one. It's because it was a TV one, wasn't it? Yeah. That's like a Dragon from 2007. Pokemon films. It's all Pokemon films. Uh, t- 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 okay, I think that might be confusing matters here. Uh, Right, here we go. This is where it gets confusing. So there is a third film. It's called Fatal Fury, the motion picture, right? And according to this information, it follows the same continuity as the preceding two TV specials, Fatal Fury, Legend of the Hungry Wolf, and Fatal Fury 2, The New Battle. But this movie shifts from arcade canon to an all-new storyline centering on original characters. Although many of the characters from the first two films make extensive cameo appearances. So while they are in it in certain ways, it is a different story and not related, and it's got original characters in it. Probably worth a watch though, right?
Yeah.
We'll consider doing that one sooner rather than later. For now, this was Fatal Fury 2, The New Battle. You got any thoughts on it? In particular, do you find the overt sexualization of that character as weird as we did? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.